Hello and good morning. This is the Breville Barista Express that I'm selling, model BES870 in black sesame. In this video, I'll be making my morning coffee, my morning latte on it, just to show you that everything works fine, and also maybe teach you a little bit about how to use this model. As you saw in the photos, the machine is in decent condition. It does have some scratching here around the front, where the cup goes in and out, so it's quite visible, and also some light marks here on the back splash plate. A few marks here and there, but honestly, for a used machine, that's expected. What matters more is the internal condition. This one has been refurbished with new seals all around, so 7 seals on the boilers and all the connectors and pipes on the inside. Full cleaning cycle done. Grinder calibrated, it's button calibrated, etc. So it should make good coffee, and it should make good coffee for a long time. It's also going to come with warranty for your peace of mind. When you turn on the machine, usually it will take about a minute to reach full temperature on the boiler. When you see the buttons light up, that means the machine is up to temperature internally, but that doesn't mean that your handle is hot. That doesn't mean that your cup is hot. So if you want your machine to warm up on its own, give it about 10 minutes. So leave it on for 10 minutes, come back, and you'll see that all the components are nice and hot. The group head, the handle. Even if you leave your cups here, they'll get a little bit warmer than room temperature. So that's a bonus, because this will gather heat from the boiler. If you want to heat up your machine quickly and you don't want to wait, like myself, you can just run a blank shot. So make sure there's no coffee in the handle. And press the double button. That's going to give you about 80 mils of water. That's going to warm up your handle, warm up your cup. It's also going to act like a little bit of a cleaning cycle. So it's going to flush the group head. It's going to flush the portafilter. So it's going to do a bit of cleaning as well. Do that once or twice. That was the double button. Let's do it with the single button, just to show you. Awesome. So after I refurbish any machine, I like to make a coffee on it. I actually made a coffee on it last night. I was using grind size number 6, and I was trying to get this to give me 40 mils of coffee. So these buttons are programmable. You can program these buttons by pressing the program button and then pressing the button that you want to program, and then once you get the desired amount of coffee, you press it again and it will save that amount. Preferably you do that with coffee and not water. So have coffee in the handle, have your cup underneath, and make your coffee, and then stop it when you're happy with the amount of coffee, and then it will remember that. So when I made the coffee last night, it was on grind size 6, and that ran a little bit quicker than what I wanted. So we got the 40 gram shot in about 20 seconds. So I've reduced the grind size to number 4. So now it should be a bit slower. It should give us a longer shot. What is the correct shot length? It's about 30 seconds, and the quantity should be about 35 to 40 grams. That's the standard recipe for espresso. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. So that means for every gram you grind, so for every gram is in the basket, you want 2 grams into the cup, and that should take about 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is, just to confirm everything is nice and dialed in for me, I'm going to use a scale. You don't have to use a scale, but it just makes your life much easier if you have a scale to measure the exact amount. Otherwise, you can always eyeball and just estimate and go by flavor. Flavor is the most important thing. If you're happy with the flavor of the coffee, then leave the settings. You don't have to mess with the settings. I will turn on my scale. I'm gonna set the grind amount to to the 1 o'clock position. So the grind size will dictate how fine or how coarse your coffee particles are. So if they're very fine, very small particle size, it'll be like flour. It'll slow down the shot. It will increase the pressure. It'll increase the shot time. If you increase the grind size, the particles are larger, they're coarser. The shot time will be reduced, the pressure will be reduced, and basically the speed of the shot will increase. We don't want the shot to be too fast, so if my shot takes 45 seconds or more, or 40 seconds or more, I would consider that too quick. Sorry, I would consider that too slow, more than 40 seconds. And if you want to speed it up, you should increase the grind size. If my shot takes only 20 seconds or less, then that's too quick. And we want to slow it down, and we slow it down by reducing the grind size. You can think of the grind size dial or the grind size number as the speed of the shot. Larger size, larger speed, aka slower time, aka longer time. No, sorry. Larger size means larger speed and smaller amount of time. Sorry, I just woke up. I haven't had my morning coffee, as you can tell. Just gonna add a few handfuls of beans into the grinder. I try not to fill my bean hoppers even on my machine. I try to only leave it maybe a third or halfway full. If you fill it the whole way, that's fine, but sometimes it just means that the top layer or the top part of the coffee will be older and more oxidized than the rest. So if you want it fresh, don't fill the whole hopper. Alright, and now we'll come to the grind amount, and that basically is the length or the duration of the grinder spinning and grinding. I'll put it on the 1 o'clock position. You've got a section of double and single quantity. You can do the double and it'll give you the double quantity in one go. I personally like to keep it on single and do it in 2 steps. That way I can check halfway and press the coffee halfway and reduce its volume and reduce the mess. Because if I grind the whole amount, it will possibly spill out the sides, because it'll build up like a little hill of coffee. So let's try the 1 o'clock position. It should give us 9 grams, because if you do that twice, that's 18 grams, and this is an 18-gram basket. Sorry, I'm just going to get rid of some of these, some of this coffee, because I changed the grind size last night, and I need to purge between grind size changes. So when I change a number, I let the grinder grind for about 3 or 4 seconds just to get rid of the previous coffee that's stuck in the machine. So the machine holds on to about 2 grams of coffee, maybe 3 grams. So I'm grinding to get rid of that, and also to make sure that my current coffee is fresh. You don't have to do that every day. I'm just doing it for the sake of accuracy for the video. Awesome. That's our first dose. Let's see what we get. We have 8.8. Very, very good. So this is the magic part. Just give it a light press, and it presses the coffee down, makes space for the next dose, and reduces the mess. Second dose is ground. Slowly take it up. See, almost nothing came off. Yeah, otherwise, if I did the whole quantity all together, all at once, it'll be up to here, and it will spill down the sides for effect. 17.9, very, very good. So that's basically exactly what I wanted. I'm gonna get the tamper. So before you press the coffee, spread the coffee around with your finger. If you don't have a scale, a couple of tips. If you look at the coffee before you press it and it's like level with the basket, then that's a good indication. And then what's more of an indication that you have the correct amount of coffee is once you press the coffee down, this silver part on your tamper should disappear. So we've got 18 grams now, I know that for a fact, and this silver part disappears. That's the correct depth that the coffee should be when you have the correct amount of coffee in the handle. So that's what it looks like, and from the side. If you press the coffee down and you still see the silver part and you can't go any deeper, you can't press it any harder, then that's too much coffee and you need to remove the top layer. And if the tamper is very deep in the basket, then that's too little coffee. If it's all the way down here, that's too little coffee. You need to add a little bit more. This is what it should sit at. Put the tamper back, make sure the edges are clean, lock it in, get rid of the hot water. Your machine also has a hot water tap here, so you can use this for long black coffees, like an Americano style coffee. You can use it to warm up your cups, you can use it to brew tea bags. I'm going to use it to add a little bit of water to the base of my cup so that I can add the sugar and the sugar will dissolve better with the coffee. Awesome. Now that that's done, mix up your sugar. So if you add sugar or flavors like a syrup or sweetener, add them now before the espresso is brewed, so that when the espresso comes down, it mixes nicely with everything and you don't have to do a lot of mixing after the fact. Same thing as before, I'm going to reset my scale. I'm going to measure the output now. Hopefully using the double button that we calibrated last night, which should give us about 35 to 40 grams of coffee in about 30 seconds. It's hard to get it right from the first go, even the second go. I've done this for a while to know that hopefully it should be better. It should be a good shot now. But when you receive the machine, you may have to struggle a little bit, maybe make 2 or 3 coffees before you, maybe 5 coffees before you get the right amount or the right settings. Sometimes people spend up to a week spending like half a kilo of beans getting the settings right, but hopefully after I've set up the machine for you, after I've put it on grind size number 4 and the double button and the amount, you should have a bit of a guidance as to where to start from, and it should be close enough when you get the machine. It may be different if you use different roasts, different brand of beans, and a different age of bean. I'm using the Aldi medium dark bean. I bought it a couple of weeks ago, so it should be relatively okay to drink. I try to not drink beans after a month from roast date. Alright, let's not procrastinate any longer. Press the double button. I'm also going to time it as well. Keep an eye on the pressure gauge. Anything between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock is good pressure on this machine. So we're getting 1 o'clock pressure. So at the top end of the top end of the range, the coffee is coming out nice and slow. It is, I would say, appropriate speed. It should stop very soon, in about 5 seconds or so. There we go. That's 31 seconds. Let's hope that it's between 35 and 40. I'm suspecting that it's on the lower end of things. That's 31. So the settings were correct, I would say. It's just that we should have let the machine run for a little bit longer. So maybe 2 or 3 more seconds would have put us in the 35 gram zone. That's totally fine. This is a totally drinkable shot. If your shots are under that desired 35 to 40 grams, they'll become a bit stronger and a bit more thicker. If they are more than that 40 gram mark that you aim for, they'll become a bit more acidic, a bit more diluted. So this will be nice and concentrated. You may like that. In fact, lots of people like that if they drink a ristretto or a magic coffee. This probably tastes really good. If you want to get the most caffeine out of your coffee, aim to get it a little bit longer. So instead of aiming for 35, aim for 40 or 45. That'll give you more caffeine. This is not advised, but I'm going to run it for a little bit longer. That's 38 grams. Pretty happy with that. So if I were to make another coffee and I'm being a perfectionist, I would increase the grind size to number 5 and make the coffee there. That would put us in the 35 grams in 30 seconds. Because yesterday it gave me 40 grams in 20 seconds. Today it gave me 30 grams in 30 seconds. So if we put it at around number 5, hopefully it should give us 35 or 40 grams in 30 seconds. But there's no need to chase numbers. This is not a science experiment. As long as it's close enough, and as long as you're happy with the flavor, that's all that matters. Also, you add sugar to your coffee, you add milk to your coffee, you're not going to notice the difference between 30 and 35 or 35 and 40. This probably tastes really good. I would bet on it. And yeah, I'm going to have it. I think another thing is that you'll probably receive the machine and use different beans. So there's no need for me to chase the perfect settings because you'll be using different beans. But as long as it's close enough and as long as you know what to do when you have too much or too little coffee, that's a good starting point. So yeah, that's the basics. Coffee runs too quick, reduce the grind size. Runs too slow, increase the grind size. Try to get 18 grams here, or basically use the tamper trick that I told you. Pressure between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock is good. Use the double button with the double basket. And yeah, you should be getting a good coffee, hopefully. After the coffee, I like to do a flush, so just run a single shot. It's going to give you, again, hot water to rinse the portafilter and rinse the shower screen. Excellent. You can store your portafilter here, so it stays nice and warm when you turn on the machine. Now, if I add hot water to it, this becomes an Americano. If I add milk to it, it becomes a latte. So let's make a latte. Very nice. This is the milk jug that the machine comes with. I'm using cold full cream milk straight from the fridge. I've filled it about halfway, as you can see the condensation. About halfway, just below the spout line here, where the curve starts. This machine has a single boiler, so when you turn on the steam, it takes a while. So it takes about 15 seconds, which is typical for this model. I'll let it warm up, and when I hear the pumping or pulsating, that's about that's when it starts steaming. And give it a few more seconds, it will get a bit stronger as well. There we go. I'm going to turn it off, position my jug, turn it back on. Important that you keep the milk spinning in the vortex, and you keep the surface, or you keep the tip of the milk wand close to the surface of the milk, because that's going to give you more foam. The closer you are to the surface, and the longer you are close to the surface, the more foam you'll get. If you don't want a lot of foam, dunk the wand deep into the milk and don't let it stay close to the surface. That's what's going to give you air. Turn it off. So now I'm quite deep into the milk. You can hear it sort of screaming, but if I bring it higher, it'll give you a different sound. You want to stay close to the surface for maybe 10 or 15 seconds. You can hear it hissing at you, or like a paper tearing sound. And then when I'm happy with that, I'll raise the jug. But when I raise the jug, I'm still spinning the milk. So keep the wand at the same angle and close to the edge of the jug, so that it continually spins the milk. And then when it's too hot to the touch, I'm going to turn it off. Before you let it cool down, give it a purge, just to clean the insides. And then 5 seconds later, it will actually automatically cool down. And now the boiler is nice and cool. Well, it's back to espresso temperature basically. You're ready to make another espresso shot if you want. Grab a wet cloth and scrub the wand, because it will get really hot. It will bake the milk on it. It'll form like a little crust, which is very hard to remove if you leave it for the next day. So just clean it as soon as you can. It will make your life easier. Make sure you get all the nooks and crannies of the milk wand on the bottom as well. And yeah, that's all we have to do to make a latte on the Breville Barista Express. Get my milk. Knock the jug on the counter to break any big air bubbles, and then swirl it around to mix. Do this a few times until the surface is nice and smooth. Oh, I messed up my latte art. I don't usually get decent latte art, but I get good milk on this machine almost always. Was trying to do a heart here, but that didn't happen. I'll just leave it here and I'll show you what I've made. But this model is certainly capable of doing really good milk, really good latte art if you're skilled enough. Almost resembles a heart, but something happened to it, like cancer or something. But yeah, that looks delicious. That's about 1.5 centimeters of foam. Looks really good. Probably really delicious, but yeah, with some practice you can do really good latte art on this machine. I'm sure of it. Yeah, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the machine, and I will see you very soon. Cheers.